Okay, guys, welcome to All Things Golf, Mike's Golf. We just got through with the British Open at Carnoustie, and we had a fantastic champion over there, our Molinari friend, who ball-striked his way to a bogey-free weekend at the British Open to win. It's pretty awesome. On today's show, we're going to go through a little golf news, and then we have a special treat in that we have the legendary Big Break fame, Kip Henley, who is a PGA Tour caddy, who was actually at the British Open, and he's going to talk through some of what went on over there and that sort of thing, and so that's going to be a cool conversation. We're going to try to call him here in a minute. So, in the meantime, we're going to take a look at the news in the world of golf. We have Canadian Open going on this week. Robert Garrigus, who has, I think, Brent Henley on the bag, Kip's brother, had a 9-under par 63 yesterday to lead the Canadian Open first round. It's pretty good. We got Senior British Open going at the old course. We got Jean Van de Velde and his caddy are out there. And we got, let's see, Kirk Triplett had the first round lead. You got Big John Daly shooting 69 at the old course. Tom Watson fired a 69. Brandel, went over there and qualified and fired 77 in the opening round. It's a pretty interesting interview. He talked about it and said, man, it's like nothing worked for me today. He kept trying to find something to work, and it just wouldn't work. That's kind of how this game will do you sometimes. DeChambeau fired a 66 in the European Open, led the first round, I think. Pretty interesting. Let's see what else we got in the world of news before we try to call Kip. Let's see here. Monty says that Europe has its strongest Ryder Cup team ever. So it's a Ryder Cup year, and we got a lot of things happening on who's going to be on the teams and stuff like that. It's going to be in France, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see what can happen there. Let's see. Jeff Sluman fired 68 in the opening round. Actually, it looks like it's Friday's round at the Senior British Open. Let's see what else is going on here. Let's see. Joaquin Niemann got a special invitation to the PGA Championship. This is that kid, I think he's out of South America somewhere, who just showed up on a PGA Tour one day. He's a young phenom player out there, so it's pretty interesting what's going on with that guy. Let's see. That's pretty much it for the news issues of the day in the world of golf. So we got a word from our sponsor, Mike's Golf Shop, coming up, and then we're going to try to call famous PGA looper Kip Henley on the telephone and see if we can talk all things golf with Kipper. Stand by. Howdy, y'all. Here's Mike from Mike's Golf Shop. This is an important announcement from our sponsor, Mike's Golf Shop. Just wanted to let y'all all know, what do? We buy golf. That's right. We buy golf clubs. So go to mikesgolfshop.com, click on the tab Sell Your Golf Clubs, and we have an automated system. No matter where you live in the United States or the world, you can go on there and you can sell us your golf clubs. And we got a special going right now. When you sell us your golf clubs online, we will in fact send you a free dozen Pro B1 5A used golf balls that are really good. And all you got to do is go on there, fill up your cart for your clubs that you have from our database. We'll send you a USPS label for free, and then you slap that label on a box and ship signature clothes, and we'll send you the money. It's pretty simple. Okay, that's Mike's Golf Shop. Mike'sGolfShop.com. Okay, back. Okay, folks, on today's show, we are going to be talking to our good buddy Kip Henley, fresh off his visit at Carnoustie, on the bag for Austin Cook. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can call him up and get him on the phone here.
What's up, Michael?
Is this Kip?
This is Kipper.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing great. We buy golf over here.
Yes, we do. Every day. Hey,
how are you, brother?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm home for a little short stay.
That's good, though, isn't it?
Yeah, the only bad news is I lost track of the day. I thought because that tournament finished on Monday, I traveled home from England and Scotland, and I lost track of the day, and I lost today. I thought I had one more day at home. It's one shorter than I thought, but no big deal.
Dang. I never know what day it is, so welcome to my world, man.
Listen, that going back from across that pond, that'll really mess with you. I mean, yesterday and the day before, I was zonked.
Yeah, it's rough, man. Any kind of traveling in multiple time zones and all that kind of stuff, and then get used to it and got to come back and all that. So just
the West Coast, from here to the West Coast and back, kill me. But across that pond, those foreign caddies and foreign players that do that, boy, they have all my respect.
I know it. Just so our audience understands a little bit about you, Kip is a good old original Chattanooga, Tennessee boy, okay? Went to Central High School and played every sport I think they had up there and, like, set every record they ever had, and then decided he was going to play some golf and wound up having a pretty good amateur career. I mean, didn't you win the state open at one point?
Yeah, I got hot there in like 80. I think I finally won my first men's event. I think my first men's event was the Brainerd Invite.
How about that? That's coming up next week. You gonna play?
Oh shoot, I'm caddying in Akron. So.
I got you. Good for you. That would be a better deal for sure.
I wish I could play in that so bad. I'd love to play in the Brainerd Invite. All those old course. I love that track, man.
So where did you win the state open at?
The state open came to Valley Brook in 1982. I mean, I could tell you a story about that whole thing, but it takes a few minutes. One day I'll tell you, but it's too long to tell on here. But it's a pretty interesting story because after I won the state open there, I was kind of a no-name in the section golf, and I beat the golden child, Bobby Walcott, in a playoff.
There you go.
I knew Bob because I knocked heads with him as a junior, but he got the best of me in everything for all those years. And, boy, there was a lot of sad people in Tennessee golf when he three-putted that first. What's now number one, but it was 10 in those days, and we started the playoff on 10. I don't know why. I think they might have had some ladies group or something going off the front, but he three-putted that first green, which was kind of tough.
Oh, yeah.
Was in the back middle there, and he three-putted it and let me win it.
How about that? So, before we get into the latest stuff that you're into and whatnot, you played some professional golf, I guess, for a while, didn't you?
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was a pro. I turned pro that year after winning the state open.
Okay.
Because tour school's coming to Valley Brook. So I turned pro in 1982, and I was a pro until, I've been an amateur now for a little over a year. I got my amateur standing back almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
But I was, after I failed to make it through tour school and flunked playing for a living, I went to be a club pro up in Crossville, Tennessee, and stayed there. And that's where I met my wife.
Yeah.
Her family was all born there, and so then I just moved home 4 years ago, and we're as happy as we can be.
So, and just a little brief history on the big break thing. You were on the original big break, and I think won the original big break, didn't you?
No, I was on Big Break 2, the recipient of the popularity of Big Break 1. It exploded on the Golf Channel.
Right.
Excuse me, boy, I got some kind of acid indigestion. I'm about to lose my voice, but I was the recipient of that. I did happen to win it, and I beat Don Donatello, another fellow caddy.
Right.
In a playoff to win that, as a matter of fact.
And then that guy, didn't that get you in a tour event or something like that?
It got me 4 starts on the Nationwide.
How about
which was
that?
the prize, and it got me, won me $10,000 and a car. And
nice.
But I had won the Tennessee section. I was still a club pro at the time.
Okay.
I'd won the Tennessee section the year before that, and that got me in 2 events in Tennessee already, 3. It got me in the Chattanooga Classic, which was a nationwide event then.
Right.
And then it got me in Knoxville, and those were 2 separate of the 4 starts. So I had 6 starts out there, and it got me in the FedEx in Memphis, and I played in that a few times too. But I really didn't. I had a good chance to start playing again then, and I failed again, and then went back to teaching golf for about a month, and then started caddying for a living. That's how I ended up.
Yeah. Now, how long you been doing the caddy thing?
I think this is my 14th year now.
14
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, let's skip forward here to the most recent thing, which, obviously all of our listeners are, eager to hear kind of what's going on. I know you guys, you're with Austin Cook now. Y'all having a pretty good year. You were over there at Carnoustie, right?
I was. It was a great trip all the way to the very end. Getting home, we had some travel issues getting back, but I mean, this year I went with a new attitude. I've gone over there twice, caddied in the Open, and once you're on the tee, caddying I caddied at Turnberry and St. Andrews. Once you were standing on the first tee working, it was incredible, but I didn't enjoy the travel and the staying over there and the hotels and rental cars and driving on the wrong side. I just didn't embrace it. But this year we had way better accommodations, and I went in there with a new attitude that I was going to look for the things that I loved about it. And man, did we, my family got to go. My wife went, my oldest daughter and her boyfriend.
Good.
We just had a blast. I can't wait to go back. Even though I went twice and didn't, Brian Gay, I was with Brian Gay at the time. We missed the cut, and I knew I loved the Scottish people. They were beautiful people, the way they treat you and everything, but I just didn't like the travel and the setup and everything, the hotels and the food. Ugh. But this year I had a great trip, man. I can't wait to get back.
So you guys finished up there pretty good too. What was your position at the end?
He was right on the cut number.
Okay.
17 and 18 to go. I think he was 1 under the cut number with 7, and we knew about exactly where the cut was going to be. And of course, I'm watching the boards and hoping he don't, but watching the boards and trying to figure out what we got to do to get it in. And 17 and 18 at Carnoustie are nasty.
Yeah.
They call it And so I'm sitting there, and we're 1 under the cut. I thought, well, he's going to putz around here. He didn't putt well. He did putt well on Thursday and Friday. He struck it well, but putted like a blind man. And I read greens bad, and we just did nothing. And I thought, well, he's going to jack one of these last 2 holes, and we're going to go home with a 3rd straight miscut in the Open that I've ever been over here. And boy, he sacked up and birdied 17. Then he birdied 18. So then we went from, at that point, we're way under the cut now. We're tied for like 35th, and then on Saturday the putter finally heated up and he hit it great. This played, and he had 4 birdies and no bogeys and 60 shot 4 under.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, we're 13th heading into the Sunday of the Open. So
amazing.
And then the weather turned, and boy, we just didn't. He went back to, he didn't putt well, and I had a bad day on the greens again reading for him, and he shot 4 over on Sunday.
Son of a gun.
Yeah, he fell right back. It was a brutal, brutal day. If y'all, obviously, the ones that paid attention to it, the wind was whipping. I mean, and it was a brutal, tough day, and that's a hard track. And on days like that, I'm glad I'm caddying, not hitting. But
so tell me about that golf course. So maybe the average person out here could get an indication as to what it's like. I know it was running pretty firm and everything, but is that thing extremely difficult? What's your opinion of it?
Truth told, I've never caddied in a situation like that in my whole life. because it was so baked out. The fairways, people called bullcrap on it, but it was the truth. The fairways were faster than the greens. That's the honest to God's truth. They were actually, if you had a putt from 10 yards off the green, you had to. It was backwards. You know how you usually got to cram it through the fairway and then hope it puts on the brakes when it is backwards. You had to touch it, just to have the right pace. So it's going to whistle through the fringe and then slow down when it hit the green. It's completely backwards.
And
so,
I guess in cases like that, you sometimes got to fly an iron onto the green so it'll stop. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, sometimes you're like on 16 on that front pin.
Yeah.
We had, I think the hole was playing 224 or something, and we tried to fly the ball only like 180 or something, and that was way out in the fairway. We knew it would. And so, I mean, I said I've never caddied anything like that, but you know how far your guy hits it. Then you try your best to guess the run out in the fairways, but when this wind starts blowing, it's impossible to guess the run out. So you're going to, and I told Cookie going into it, dude, we're going to stub our toe out here somewhere. We're going to try and miss one of these bunkers and just completely blow it. Like one round on number 3, which was a great little short hole, we hit a 6-iron off the tee, trying to make sure and stay short of a 246-yard to the thing, and it ran 15 yards past the bunker. It would have gone way into the bunker. It happened to miss it, and so I mean, there was pitfalls like that waiting on you at every turn. Carnoustie, I've never been on a track like it, Mike.
Yeah.
But what a treat.
So is it in your opinion extremely difficult? Oh
yeah, I mean, there's 1 or 2 places where you can get shots back if you drive it, reasonably straight. But
okay.
They're every fairway bunker that we went into was the equivalent. For the week, I think we probably hit it in 5 for the week fairway bunkers.
Okay.
All 5 of them there's no play. It's a actual like hitting it in the hazard. He just sandwiched it out. That may have been a little bit caddy embellishment. I can remember 2 on the last round. He gets in there with his lob wedge and just lob wedges it right out next to the bunker out in the fairway.
Right.
Truly penal with those big giant sod stacked bunker.
Now how's the rough on that course this time around?
You know what? It looks ferocious off the tee, so it makes it visually intimidating. But most of the rough, I would guess, probably 75% of the rough was very playable. Is wispy grass, dry grass, and you can catch. We didn't catch. He had 1 or 2 bad lies early in the week, to where we couldn't get to the greens. But for the most part, anytime we went over into the rough, you would be dreading it walking over there, and you get up there, and it'd be almost like it was in the first cut most times. You just a couple little wispy, long pieces of grass, but very playable.
Now, once you get onto the putting surface, describe for everybody out there kind of what the putting on those greens was like.
They were like Brainerd on a mediocre day. Like when Brainerd when it ain't in its best shape. They were slow and bumpy. I was shocked.
Really?
Yeah. Now, the last time I played Turnberry, they were similar to these, but a little faster and a little smoother. And when we went to St. Andrews, the second time I caddied over there, St. Andrews were nice, and they were fast, and not bumpy. But these were truly, they were like putting at Pebble Beach.
Really?
You just can't make putts. But the other side of that story is they were slow, so the pace of play was fast because guys weren't having 4-footers all day. You cram it up there and tap it again. And
now there's not a lot of undulations on them either, is there?
No, in fact, me and Cookie said it 100 times for the week. Dude, you've got a 40-foot, another dead straight 40-foot. I'm trying to find some break in this thing. There was 1 or 2 that had some movement in them. And the RNA, they buried 1 or 2 pins that were like the pins almost pointing sideways because it was buried straight inside of the hill, but they were slow enough where no one was going to holler at them. Like you would never see those pins on a PGA Tour when the greens were running 14 because balls would just roll up, miss, and roll back to you.
Right.
You had to sit at the bottom of the hill and putt it till it went in. But,
so what is your opinion? I mean, it sounds to me like that the greens kind of leveled the playing field a little bit for the putting. It seems to me that, the great putter out there is not going to do his normal greatness, and the guy that's not so good is probably going to do a little better than he did. So don't you think those type of greens kind of neutralize the
great putters?
Yeah.
You're 100% right on the nail on the head right there, bud. Because
So
it's like Pebble Beach. Brian Gay. I would go out there with him, and when I first started caddy for him, he wouldn't even go out there. He recently went out and did well there, but
right.
he wouldn't even go out there because it took the putter out of his hands.
Right.
So, and he was dependent upon the putter. He had to putt well to beat the bombers. So
right.
You're exactly right. This was a ball striker's week, big time. We played with Justin.
Rose.
Yeah, Justin Rose on Sunday. A tremendous ball striker and a good putter, but man, he had a good day out there. It was kind of fun to watch him.
Yeah, I mean that's a guy there that like finished second or third, I think, and made the cut on the number type of deal. So that was
really
pretty.
He thought he may have won the golf tournament.
I thought he did too when he got in at 6.
Me too, but it turns out no. But
so how did our boy Bill Mickelson do?
Bill Mickelson. We got paired with him on Saturday, and it was a dream come true to play in the Open on the weekend. And just a beautiful weather, and paired with one of my a lot of people give Mickelson grief, but I've gone out with him 3 or 4 times in my career, and he's an absolute prince to go out with.
Good.
He loves. I don't know if it's just because a lot of the tour guys don't talk to him all the time, but he'll carry on with the caddy as much as he'll carry on with the other players. I guess he just wants anybody to listen to him. He loves to talk.
Oh yeah. Well,
what a great playing companion he was for a fellow competitor. He was for my guy. It was a tremendous Saturday. And Cookie, that's the second time Cookie got paired with him in the 3rd round of Houston right out of college when Cookie got near the lead at that tournament.
Right.
He beat Mickelson that day too. So I guess old Bill Mickelson is tired of getting paired up with old Cookie. I call him my little dragon slayer.
Yeah. So tell me about in general, just the course setup. We've seen already this year, course setup is such a big topic, and I know that at the U.S. Open, it seems like they find a way to goof it up every time, and the boys over there at the R&A seem to get it right every time. What's your thought on the course setup of what they did over there versus what we normally see over here on a U.S. Open?
I think the USGA just gets abused, and sometimes, once or twice, and they've admitted they've blown it, but really the U.S. Open does exactly what we want it to do. And 95% of the golf people want those guys to struggle that one week, and
right.
They want the number. That's the one week of the year where you want to see 1 under win the golf tournament, and they hit pretty close to that every year. So, obviously you can do a couple different ways with setup. You can make the rough so penal, or you can firm and fast the greens up. And then once you do that, if the weather cooperates, they can pretty much dictate what the winning score will be. Now, obviously they've let it get away from them a couple times, but they got killed this year, like on Saturday, because the weather turned poorly. I wasn't there, but I watched it, and obviously the afternoon guys, it dried out and they started 3-putting like crazy.
Right.
Everybody's reminding acting like 2-year-olds, but it's the U.S. It's the friggin' U.S. Open. You're supposed to hit your head out there a couple times. So,
yeah.
The one thing that R&A separates them is just as simple as this: speed of greens. That's their key. That's why we played faster. That's why no one was bitching.
Right.
Well, there was some bitching going on about the greens not being smooth enough to putt well, but very little. You didn't hear much about it on TV, and it's the pace of the greens is the key. When they're running 13 and 14, guys are 3-putting, guys are having to make 4-footers. Play this absolutely bogs down. But
right. Well, I notice. It seems like all my lifetime, everybody talks about speedy greens, and Augusta National used to be the kind of the preeminent place where the greens are fast, and Sam Snead talked about. He said you knew it was going to be tough that week when your spikes wouldn't go in the green.
Oh yeah.
And so even back in those days, I mean, maybe they ran a 10. I mean, there wasn't much to it, you know. But now with the grasses and the technology and the mowers and et cetera, they can get these things to crazy speeds, which really don't make sense for golf. You know, and you just saw at the British Open, maybe they're rolling the 10, and it seemed like it was the way to do it, you know, for championship golf. So, I mean, is there a number? Do you think there's a number that ought to be a standard for putting green speed?
No.
No?
You know, the one year that we played at St. Andrews, those guys lost. St. Andrews was blowing. The reason they kept the greens at the pace, they could cut them lower at Carnoustie. They were lush. They could have really groomed them low.
Uh-huh.
They wanted them that pace in case it did what it did on Sunday, start blowing 30 miles an hour.
Got it.
Because at St. Andrews that year I was with Brian Gay. Brian Gay had like an 8-footer for par. I can't remember what hole it is. You know, they wind up all over themselves back there at St. Andrews, going out and coming back. But we were heading back towards the clubhouse, and he's got like a 10-footer for par. And the wind, I mean, I'm caddying with, it had been even raining, Mike, but the rain had quit, and the wind was pumping. I mean, pumping. So Brian's got a 10-footer for par. He marks it, lines his line up, gets ready to thing, and he doesn't even get over it. The wind blew his ball back 3 feet. This is no caddy embellishment. He marks it again, puts his stripe down. The wind blows it another 3 feet.
Goodness gracious.
He marks it, puts his line down. The wind blows it again, it kept blowing it like a yard and a half. And there was a rules official sitting in his cart. I'm holding my hands out in the air like, are you kidding me? You're not suspending play. So
right.
the R&A, they've blown it before too. But you know, you're going to make mistakes. And guys, I mean, I don't like to hear the guys bitching and moaning about it. I just don't like that. But I get it. You know, they're under a lot of pressure. And guys get upset. But really, it's a mindset. The guys that do well just. You know, you tell them. It's like playing in the Signal Mountain Invitational, Mike.
You're right.
When you go up there, you know somewhere your ball's going to roll 50 yards further than it should have, or it's going to roll off a green. You're going to chip a chip, and it's going to roll back. And if you have the mindset going into it that I'm going to power through this. I'm not going to let this one thing where I get killed ruin my day. And that's how you got to do it the U.S. Open.
Right.
Same as Signal Mountain Invitational and the U.S. Open, they're the same, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, tell me this now. Just imagine, we'll just do a little imagination kind of thing for you here. Obviously, you're a world-class caddy and well-known individual, and everybody knows you're a cool guy and all. So just imagine that instead of John Vandevelde on the 18th tee with a 3-stroke lead at Carnoustie that day in 1999, you were on the bag for Mike Mixon, and he's standing on the 18th tee at Carnoustie with a 3-stroke lead. What are you going to do to make sure I win that golf tournament?
I would like to have that opportunity. You know, when you caddy for different guys, you have to caddy for different ways. You cannot caddy for everybody the way you caddy for a certain player. You have to adjust. Some guys are going to be complete know-it-alls and not going to let you interject whatsoever, and you're going to have to just go with it. But if a guy asking for if Mike Nix is standing on that tee, and I know the hole now, the driver that Vandevelde pulled off the tee, to me, makes perfect sense. I think it was a great club. Some guys said he shouldn't. But then, you know, if you pull driver, there's a chance you take the burn out of play. You hit it far enough to get past it.
Got it.
Obviously, there's out of bounds all the way down the left. You would pray I would pray Mike would make this mistake to the right, exactly what Vandevelde did. And he got lucky, and I think he bounced over the burn, and he was out there.
Well, he was short of he was so far right, he was short of it, but in, I guess, 17 fairway or something over there.
Well, he wasn't short of the burn. He to get in 17 fairway, that ball had to cross the burn because it's like you're sitting. It's
like a horseshoe or something.
Exactly, you're at the top of the horseshoe.
Okay.
And you got to hit it like 200 yards is all to get it over, or maybe even less than that. But it only runs out there probably 230 or 240, I think. I can't remember exactly because we played it kind of downwind a lot of the day, so we didn't even have to worry about the burn. But once he got lucky and missed the burn and was out there and played, I don't think he made a bad choice off the tee.
Right.
But then, holy cow, how him and his caddy how they arrive at a 2-iron as a team
right
is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I didn't see the Van de Velde, but I watched that go down when it happened that day.
Right.
I can't remember where I was at, but I can remember all of us golfers sitting around screaming at the TV like, "Oh my gosh, someone tackling him!"
Yeah.
That once he got that ball on land off the tee, I guarantee you, if I was caddying for the biggest jerk in the world that didn't even want the caddy to say a word, I would do something. I would just hand him the sandwich and take off running with the rest of the club. We would just hit sandwich in the middle of the green, 2-putt for bogey,
it's over.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Out of bounds, Mike, out of bounds there is Cookie played away from out of bounds out of the middle of the fairway once or twice last week. Because if the ball pitches in the left fringe with a tiny bit of draw, it's gone.
Gotcha.
The fairway's so fast.
So from where Van der Velde was after his drive, he could hit. You say sand wedge back to the fairway, I guess, right?
Mike, I promise. Even then, into the wind, the guy could have hit sand wedge.
That is 100%. Unreal.
It is unreal. His caddy didn't go, "Oh, wait a minute, man. You might hit this 2-iron out of bounds, or you might get it in the burn." I can't believe he chose to do that. It was one of the great moments in golf, and when he holed that putt for par after he finally got it on the green, putt for a triple and a tie, that was one of the coolest things. I remember him fist pumping and screaming something.
Oh yeah, guttural.
It was a beautiful moment, but dang it, that was tough to watch.
All right, now let's also shift gears for one more opinion on something. In 2009, I think it was, Tom Watson, age 59, got the lead on the 72nd hole. What's your opinion of a guy at 59 years of age, literally having both hands on that trophy on the 72nd hole?
Unbelievable. Now, him and his caddy, I think they pulled a bad club there looking back, too. Didn't he fly that ball on the green?
Yeah,
something?
That's right.
He went long, but, that is a pure, honest, you don't know that. It's easy after you hit the shot.
Yeah.
He knew he had hit the wrong club after he had hit it. But, if I were caddying for you there in that situation, or Tom Watson, and you're that old and that much wiser in the game than me, I would never pull that club out of his hands. You just got to go with what a guy's gut feelings is, So,
right.
One of my dear buddies on the PGA Tour, one of the coolest guys out there, took that trophy away from him, and that was an unpopular win. But if people knew Stuart Sink, it would be a way more popular one. Stuart Sink is an absolute prince of a human being.
Yeah.
Man. That guy is the best.
Yeah.
And looking back, I was sad. I wasn't sad like most people, because I've hung out with Mr. Watson, and he wasn't that sweet to me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was pulling for Stuart that day. Anyway.
I got you. All right, man. So let's see here. Let's talk about one other thing before I let you go. And I appreciate your time today so much, and I'm sure our audience is going to enjoy listening to you talk about that experience and all that stuff. Let's talk about, we got a lot of guys that listen to our podcast who are players themselves and amateurs, and they're trying to work on their game and improve and that sort of thing. I mean, in your opinion, what is it possible for, golfers to improve their game? And if so, what's the things that they can work on, you think, that's going to really help them score lower?
Being a teacher, it's going to be an individual thing, Mike. Some guys, I get golf lessons, I still teach a little here and there when guys can pin me down and get me out there. I don't like the responsibility of having to make a tee time or a range session now when I'm home, because,
right.
I like to shut her down. But, as over the years, I've given a million golf lessons. Some guys are pretty natural, good ball strikers, and really, truly, short game is where the guys need to spend their time. All I did as a kid at Creeks Bend growing up, all we did was putt. I mean, we played tons of golf, but we had a thing we called the slam, and Creeks Bend has a long putting green, and it had like 9 pins buried on it going down through there, and they would just be pretty much in a row. So we would putt the slam, we would putt the Masters going down, the U.S. Open coming back, the British Open going back down, and the PGA coming back. And dude, we would putt the slam hundreds of times a day, and that's all we did. And when we were waiting, we couldn't get on the course. Mr. Templeton wouldn't let the kids on the course, and so we could get on the putting green. All we did was putt. Now, every kid I grew up with at Creeks Bend, and there for a while, man, we were ruling the state of Tennessee golf.
Right.
And every kid that grew up at Creeks Bend, of course, Buddy Templeton kept the greens just manicured to the nth. They were beautiful, fast, bent grass greens.
Mm-hmm.
Every kid I grew up with, Mike, were great putters.
How
and
about that?
There was a bunch of us that came out of there were good players, and had a lot to do with Mike Nams teaching us some stuff too. But that's a long way of getting around to it. Putting, you have to. There's no substitute for practicing your putting.
Got it.
Thousands and thousands of putts,
And so, okay, what is the key to good putting in your opinion?
I teach a lot of putting. There's 2 or 3 guys on the tour that come to me when they're struggling, believe it or not, that ask me to watch them. And there's a couple of things that I see the best players do. I like to see, if you're a right-handed golfer, I like to see that right forearm match the shaft. I mean, it is an extension of the shaft. You don't see very many guys with like the grip pointing like.
So it's on the right forearm's on the same angle as the shaft.
Exactly right. If you think about it, if you took a club and you were going to rake balls off the green, to go whack them again.
Yeah.
When you reach out there with your right hand and hold the club and just smack the balls off the green, you have that shaft, whether you never paid attention to it, you have that shaft exactly lined up with your right forearm.
Okay.
It's just like, think about that, raking balls off the green. The best putters, like Zach Johnson and Brian Gay and all the best putters, their right forearm mirrors the shaft. That's one thing I see that the greatest players do,
Okay. Well, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, and there's a few things.
Speed-wise, what's the great putters doing speed-wise?
Dude, that is just something that I don't know how you could teach speed. You can practice your speed drills and stuff.
I know feel is one thing, and being able to roll at the correct speed. But what is the right speed for putting? Is it dying them in? I mean, I know Curtis Strange and Jack Nicklaus would always want the last half a roll to be the one that went in there.
Right.
And the Peltz talks about 14 inches past is where you need to be. What do you think on that?
I think it's based solely on what kind of surfaces you're putting on. If you're putting on U.S. Open speeds, you want that thing to drip in there because I always said that if it's going the right, slow enough pace, all the doors are open.
Got it.
If it's going in there fast, only the front door's open on that putt.
Got it.
I like to drip them in there on super fast greens, but when you go to like the British last week, man, the guys that have a tendency to hammer their putted better. You have more pace, and the bumpy greens, the ball's going to stay on the line longer if it's rolling faster. So you have to adjust. And,
all right.
I think green reading is a big thing, and some guys can read greens, some guys can't. I think that's almost an innate thing that you have, and
right.
And it goes back to working hard and putting hours and hours.
Got it.
You just got to work. There's no substitute for repetition on the greens.
And one other thing about ball striking stuff, I've heard you say that, I think it was you who told me this or mentioned one time, that like Dustin Johnson got that wrist up at the top kind of bend a little bit.
Yeah, they call it flexion. The smart guys now call it flexion or something.
Yeah.
But
didn't you say something about that? You said that the straighter drivers do that, it seems like?
Not all, not 100% across the board, but if you see a guy on the Puget what we call an arched left wrist, for a right-handed golfer.
Yeah.
If he's made his way to the PGA Tour and he has an arched left wrist, he is one of the straightest drivers of the ball out there.
Gotcha.
It's just because by arching your left wrist, it shuts the face.
Got it. Uh-huh.
If you cup your left wrist or have a bend in your left wrist, that opens the face. Now you got timing issues through the hit that you have to square that face.
Right.
With an arch and the face shut, then it comes down to keeping the face from closing. So now all you have to do is learn to just speed your pivot up to your body rotation through the hit. If I could teach, Stormy, my youngest daughter, who hated golf but was brilliant at it, she had naturally a nice little tiny little arched left wrist at the top of her swing. Nobody gave it to her but God.
Right.
And I didn't have it, and I wanted it, and I couldn't even do it. I couldn't physically even do it because it hurt my left wrist when I did it. So
right.
I tried. Jack Grout tried to teach me a flat left wrist and sent me into a 3-year tailspin because I played with a cupped left wrist.
Yeah.
And on ice hit, I had my cut timed at the time. And when I won the state open as a kid, I had a cupped left wrist. I played with an open face, and I aimed it down the left side and just hit it hard as I wanted. And I knew it was going to go straight or cut for me.
So tell me one more thing here about hitting irons off the ground. I know you've seen some guys out there that really know how to hit it solid and compress that ball. What do you see in there that's kind of the key to being able to do that with an iron?
I think all the best for me. You don't have to lean the shaft to play good straight golf.
Okay.
But again, if you see a guy on the PGA Tour that leans the shaft through the hit, he's going to be one of the most reliable guys under pressure, because again, you're dragging the handle through the hit. You're not flipping the club head square through the hit. So
right.
I like guys that smashed out like Boo Weekley and Woody Austin and Austin Cook, VJ Singh. These are guys that move dirt when they're hitting irons. So the greatest iron players, I think, move dirt.
Got it.
Boo Weekley plowed a dang. The ground shook when he hit his irons. So I like to see guys moving dirt. There's been a few pickers out there, but they're very seldom are they good wedge players. The best wedge players move dirt when they play.
Got it.
It's just something I've picked up along the way, and maybe some guys might shoot holes in it, but I don't know. I see the best players every week.
Well, I tell you what, Kip, I certainly appreciate you spending the time with us today. And, I mean, we could talk for hours and
we could go on
about golf. And there's so many guys out there that are interested in the sport, and you've got certainly a great and unique perspective on the whole deal. And I certainly do hope that maybe you'll come back and be a guest on the show again one day.
We won't run out of things to talk about, little buddy. I look forward to doing it again. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Thanks a lot, Kev. We appreciate you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
We buy golf.
All right, man. See you.